You know, Tony Robbins had said, many individuals have a scarcity mentality without even being aware of it. You know, hello everyone. My name is James Nussbaumer, and I am the author of two great books. The first one is called The Master of Everything, a story of mankind in the world of illusion we call life. And its sequel is called Mastering Your Own Spiritual Freedom, Lessons of Lessons of a Course in Miracles. Both books are published by Ozark Mountain Publishing Company and are on sale everywhere books are sold all around the planet. You know, I had recently spoke in Eureka Springs, Arkansas, at the Transformation Conference, and I say the Transformation Conference because it is a really whoop-de-doo big event. But someone had cornered me out in the hallway after my 60-minute speech that I had given, and it was very nice. It was a husband and wife couple, and they wanted to know, Jim, can you tell us, you know, there's gobs of books out there on the market of self-empowerment, self-improvement, spirituality, enlightenment. What makes your books so much different? Well, the only thing that I could respond to, which was in the forefront of my mind right away, is just to say that, you know, if you give my books a chance, I don't preach. I share my own experiences, my downs, my lows, my lowest times ever, on how I had risen above adversity, and hope that my reader that not necessarily follow what I'm saying that I did, but it may strike a chord within them that, hey, what I'm feeling now is the same. It's a very strong parallel to what he's talking about in his book. So to answer their questions, and they appreciated it, I write about my own experiences and what I had to do and my way of thinking to overcome that. And they appreciated that for my honesty there. But I can show you, for example, in my first book, which right here, The Master of Everything, which is the pilot of an ever-developing series, I can show you through my own experiences how the Holy Spirit, a traditional term that I use for the mindful antivirus protection that's installed in each one of us, how the Holy Spirit has used my ego-based scarcity thinking and my experience of prison. Yes, 8 years in prison I'd spent for a foolish securities violation in my practice as a financial advisor. How the Holy Spirit used my scarcity thinking and my experiences of prison to direct me into realizing that I do not need to own a piano in order to play it. Now you may be wondering, what does he mean by the piano? Where did that come from? In fact, I'm not too old to learn the piano either, and added scarcity thought that as I have been aging, because I always wanted to love to play the piano. So what do I mean? What do I mean here? Well, in my first book, The Master of Everything, I talked about a black man that I instantaneously sat with in the chow hall in prison while I was in prison on a day where I was white side and black side in a huge dining hall, and I was ordered that day to sit in the area where most of the blacks was, and I only mentioned white and black because of the the racial problems that are in prison. So, but I sat in the chow hall that day directly across from a black man who had questioned me kind of up front and kind of firmly questioned me about what I was about. And so we took the conversation outside, and as we walked back to our separate housing units, it turned out that after several occasions of us starting to talk from that day on, we had opened up with each other and became friends. But we weren't friends instantaneously. It took a few times of nodding to each other, you know, a nod here and that across the yard, and an occasional thumbs up, that we really cared about looking out for each other. But it turned out that after several occasions of our nodding to this and our acknowledging each other from across the prison yard or whatever in other areas, that we travel inside that volatile and often violent din of the cell block, we mutually decided to have a friendly chat, even further and deeper, to get to learn something from each other. The nice man's name is Charlie, and he was serving 13 years in prison for manslaughter. Charlie shot and killed the drug dealer who had gotten his 12-year-old daughter strung out on heroin and was also sexually abusing her. Charlie is a musician and has played the piano since his childhood. And of course, at the time when I was in prison, there was no piano available to just go sit at and play. However, there was an electric keyboard that the chaplain had used for his church services, and the chaplain allowed Charlie to keep his fingers in the groove. Well, excuse me. After finding out about my love for the piano, Charlie had explained to me that of the many avenues that I could take when I'm released from prison. At the time, he was telling me, when you get out of prison, you can do this. And it's so easy to learn to play the piano. You don't have to own the piano. And I was using the fact of not being able to play the piano, that I wouldn't have the money to buy a piano. I was using that as an excuse. So my meeting with Charlie was simply to, wipe out that excuse. There was no excuses he was trying to tell me. In fact, the avenues that Charlie was telling me about is what he did as a child. His parents could not afford a piano either, but Charlie's desire found a way to play the piano. So not until he was an adult did Charlie ever own his own piano. Needless to say, my meeting with Charlie was a gift. It was a lesson for living in abundance rather than scarcity. Also while locked up in there, in that ugly, horrible prison, a bit of hope set in where I could truthfully see myself one day sitting behind the piano, maybe a baby grand in my own home, once that my gig in prison was up. I started looking at it that way, but my first thought was I wanted to learn how to play it. And then eventually the piano would find its way into my home somehow. And our long talks with Charlie it was that simple. Learn to play it first. And so, but my point is, everyone that we run into or encounter in our lives has a lesson to teach us. And to answer the question of the folks in the hallway that said, what is the difference between your two books, which are the first two of an ever-developing series? I've got many more to come yet. What is it between the gobs of other books on enlightenment and self-improvement and what have you? What is the difference? Well, I share what I have learned through my experiences of others in my books without preaching. And this has become a goal of mine. And it's just like with the piano, in the foreseeable future, what Charlie had told me while I was in there, through that experience with him, that exchange with him, I could see myself playing the piano. And more importantly, I could see the words that I had to write coming to manifest in the form of books, which has happened, that could possibly help others through my own experiences. A Course in Miracles helps us to see the whole of humanity, which really, if we look beyond humanity, we look beyond who we are as a body, the whole mind. Course in Miracles helps us to see the whole mind, the shared oneness that we are, being played out by the encounter that I had with Charlie. And beyond that, if you can see beyond the body and look to the whole and look to the lessons that you see just by other people's experiences, if you can, then you will have no problem yourself offering peace and joy throughout your days and not giving up hope in what it is you really want in this world. I'd like to quickly add that my stumble into A Course in Miracles, which is, of course, like I said, it does not, the purpose of this video is not to have you run out and buy A Course in Miracles. But A Course in Miracles is what opened up my intellect. The universal intellect in me was opened up, where I wasn't afraid to receive gifts that were coming to me from others and look inwardly deep to what I truly am. So, that is basically what I had told the couple out in the hallway that had asked me, what is the difference between your books? Well, it's basically that simple because, we have two choices while we're in this world. We can continue to live a life of doom and gloom, scarcity thinking, or we can continue to go further and deeper within ourselves and learn about the true abundance that really sits inside of us. And when we run into other people's we have encounters, whether it's with books or meetings, a guest speaker as I was at the transformation event, or just walking through the park one day, or just in prison, as the experience of this video blog is about. If we can keep ourselves open to what we can learn from that situation, there's no preaching that's ever needed. We just learn through others in that way. So I hope this makes sense, and I hope you're thinking a lot about your own life and about the natural gifts that you have truly inside of you, that people want to feel your extension. They want to know more about you because that helps them. I hope this makes sense. Thanks for listening to me, and God bless.